you're coming to JBLM and you want to know what the place is about, what to expect when you're moving here, and what it's like when you're going to be here. So this is going to be the 7 things you need to know when you PCS to JBLM. So I have Jenah here, and she actually just went through this experience of PCSing to JBLM. So let's hear a firsthand account of what is the current environment. What is it like when you get those orders and you're coming to JBLM? Like what's happening?
Stressful. It's always stressful when you're moving. But I mean, the first thing that we all want to talk about is, are we going to live on base or off base, is basically, what we dive into. Once we decide that, get current housing times, then we're going to make that decision. If we live off base, then we're just going to dive into the schools and an area and start trying to sort through that information and figure it out.
Yeah. So was it an easy decision for you to decide to purchase a house or rent, or like what was going through your head?
We initially thought we wanted to live on base, but after calling and getting the wait times for housing, which are not great here because everyone wants to try to live on base, traffic, we decided to pivot off base, and we got some really good information on schools from fellow families and people in the area kind of pointing us in the direction of where we should go.
What are those wait times like?
So some neighborhoods that are older, not updated, were 1 to 2 months. And then some of the newer ones just say indefinite, meaning like there's an indefinite wait list. They just can't give you a time. And then there's a lot in the middle that are just 5 to 7 months where you would be in a hotel the whole time, or Airbnb, just figuring it out.
Yeah, and you mentioned something crazy to me when we were talking earlier, and it's that you have to wait until you're here before you can get information?
Yes, so this base is a little different. Some bases do this, some don't. But in theory, we would like to get orders, get on a housing wait list, and have that house ready when we get here, right? We have our orders in advance. But JBLM does not activate you on the wait list until you out-process from your other base. So basically, your stuff is packed up, your family's heading this way, and you don't have a house to go to. So then you go on the wait list. So everyone essentially is going into temporary housing.
What do people do that have pets and things like that?
They're just in the hotels. The hotel on base is pretty popular because they let pets up to 100 pounds come in. And then after that, because it does fill up fast, people are looking into Airbnbs, RV parks, temporary housing, and you're just dealing with it.
So compared to the other bases you've been in, is it kind of complicated?
It's harder. There's a lot of people here. It's a joint base. So you have Army and Air Force. Army gets priority on the Army side. Air Force gets priority on the Air Force side. And you can get on the other wait list, so that just makes it longer. But it's just, harder to get housing here when they do it that way.
In your experience and what you know from what other people have told you, is the housing adequate? Is it nice? Where's it out on the scale with other bases?
The Air Force side, we always joke, being an Army family, the Air Force side is always nicer. They get nicer accommodations, but it also goes, it also goes off of your rank, how many dependents you have. I'll say here, this base also doesn't give you any extra bedrooms, which some bases do. So we have 2 kids. We would not be allowed, no matter what my spouse's rank, to get more than a 3-bedroom house. And for me, who works from home, that's pretty frustrating.
Let's talk about basic housing allowance.
Yes. Good old B.
Basic allowance housing, did I say it backwards?
No.
What's it like here? Do they give you an adequate amount for what you need?
Because housing prices are higher here, your BAH is higher here, but at the same time, it's only meant to cover 95% of your housing and utilities, which over the years, as prices have raised, it doesn't really do that anymore. It used to be where you could get a house, cover your utilities, and pocket some of that money. So buying a house was on everyone's agenda. But now it's just really hard because of the housing prices. You can make it work. There's something for everyone's BAH here for sure. You just might have to go further out in more rural communities, but you can make it work.
Let's give these folks some market context right now too, about what the rental market looks like and what purchasing looks like if they're going to purchase a house. What would you say is the most important factor when you're just deciding overall? For me, the filter is, are you going to own a home? Are you going to be here for at least 3 years, if not hopefully 4 or 5?
Yeah.
Then purchasing becomes a stronger option because you can be assured based off of the historics of the area, it's appreciating still, even in this market, it's appreciating, so they can be safe. But what are the main factors that you considered?
The first thing I also ask people is, how long are you going to be stationed here? Because that is the biggest one. And then also I want to know if it's going to be a resale afterwards or if you want to rent it. That's normally a big one.
That's huge. Yeah.
We might look at different properties based on that answer, different price points.
There's a lot of people who set up an additional retirement for themselves that actually I've noticed they'll go to different duty stations and they'll keep their
Leave a trail of houses. Yes.
Which is totally awesome.
Yeah.
Think about it.
We do that.
Let's talk about what's actually happening here. You know, we run a real estate team. We're out helping people, 200-300 people a year sell houses. And actually there's people who have to rent as well.
Yeah.
So the market, the average sales price in Thurston County and Pierce is like hovering between 500,000 and 600,000 right now. When we look at that with a VA rate, which is typically zero down, we're not going to talk about funding fees or anything like that, but the current calculation with the current rates is like $3,400 a month minimum, unless somebody puts some money down. How does that compare to renting? Well, you can rent a house for a little bit less, but it kind of depends on what you need.
Right.
Like how big is your family? How many bedrooms do you need? And if you were looking to purchase, like all these are factors, right?
Right. And then, you know, comparing those rates with what your BAH is, unfortunately, this is an area where you're going to be above your BAH a lot of places. And that's just how our market is here. You can find rentals that are a little bit cheaper sometimes if someone, you know, had the got to refinance during COVID and has a lower rate. And then there's some wiggle room on that rent, which will really help out a military family. But otherwise, you're going to be above your BAH here.
What I'm finding is just for the average, say, 3-bedroom house, let's say it's 2,000 square feet, that rent is going to really start at about $2,500, but really most people are able to get $2,700, $2,800 a month. And it's not like the location really matters in the rental market. It does a little bit, but what I'm saying is even if you're right across from JBLM and DuPont, you would think you could save a ton of money renting and going south and being in Lacey.
Right.
You go north, you're closer to Seattle, so a lot of the rental rates go up. So that's the biggest decision that a lot of people have to make is when does it make sense to actually invest that extra money into a mortgage, because you have the potential to build some equity and actually have the tax benefits.
Right.
So it's a big determination people have to make.
Also thinking, you know, what happens if my landlord raises my rent next year? Do you really want to move your family and your kids to a different house at the same duty station? Some of us have had to do that, and it's pretty frustrating. But, you know, thinking through that, and then if someone was trying to stretch their BAH, what areas would you recommend, Erin? Well, I do think it's important because we're seeing a lot of families push into Roy, Tumwater, all those. They go off the back gate to avoid traffic, which is another great thing. And they're just trying to push into more rural, and they're fine with it to save money.
Yep. All right. So I've helped a ton of families that are in the military move here. And I'll give you like my 1-minute breakdown.
Okay.
I'll try, right? Typically, people want to be close to the base. They want to be within 30 minutes. So where it gets less expensive is going south. If you can stomach driving 30 minutes, you know, or even 40 maybe, and you can be south of Olympia, Tumwater area, you're going to start to see the prices drop. If you go out to Yelm, you're going to start to see the prices actually get you more homes. So it kind of depends on what you need. If you're going north of Tacoma, guess what? The prices as high as people think in Tacoma because they built a lot of property on city lots that are like 11, 12, 13, 14, 1,500 square foot houses that you can get for under 500,000. Sometimes you get one for just over 400,000. There's a misconception out there that Tacoma is very expensive. It is in certain pockets, but you can actually much more easy buy a home as long as you're okay with that smaller square footage.
Right.
Some people will end up on the other side of the base and they'll chase the schools and they'll go to Puyallup. And again, you're going to have a higher price there because it's Pierce County. So you're probably going to be really struggling to get in under 500,000. You're probably going to be 525, 550, 575. And then if you grew up in a rural area, guess what? You want to be on a little bit of, you want some breathing room, you want neighbors next to you and all that kind of stuff. There's some new home communities in Yelm where I would say if you're a first time buyer, go buy a new house in Yelm because you're going to have an easy trip in the gate. It's a town that has all the amenities you need. You're not going to be close to a mall. That's pretty much the only drawback, but you're going to have what you need and you're going to get in for less.
Yeah, I think a lot of families are looking for that too. And they don't necessarily mind the drive if it's helping them stretch their BH and maybe get some more land and breathing room. And a lot of us have come from bases where we haven't had that option, and you know, you're living on base and you're surrounded by a million neighbors. So some people who maybe were on base are ready to be off base, away from people. So that's a really good suggestion for them. And then touching on the gates, you know, the gates here have really good hours. They're open, a lot of them 24 hours, the main ones, and then the rest open at 5 a.m. for PT. So
Yeah.
Avoid the traffic.
It's pretty much you divide it in half. If you're on the other side from where we're standing right now, we're in DuPont right now. Got main gate, we're really close. If you live in DuPont, you're super lucky. You don't even have to get on the freeway to get on Post.
Yes.
But
3 gates without getting on base.
yes,
They're all on the highway. Yeah.
if you go south, you're commuting north. There's a little traffic in the morning. It's not too bad, but you can easily get from Olympia and you can come in the gate on this side of things.
Right.
If you're up in Tacoma, you're going to travel down, go on through on this side, unless you're, coming in near Air Force Base. And then everybody else is kind of on the other side, or they're coming in East Gate. So we're talking about people who are in Puyallup, people in Roy, Yelm, McKenna, that area.
Yep, and that's a 24-hour gate, so that's really good. And there's also the secret gate, which I feel like a lot of people don't know about. There's a DuPont gate on exit 118, and then there's something called the RCF gate on 119. I don't know what the acronym stands for. There's like acronyms in the military for everything, but we call it really convenient, fool. Like this as a joke. But you can go. Everyone coming from Olympia down can hop off on that and cut in for PT from 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. inbound only. And then on the way home, it's open 3 to 7 outbound only. So you can avoid all the traffic that it gets blocked up around and just pop out that gate through Olympia and never hit it at all. Well, I guess I shouldn't have told you. It won't be a secret.
I know, dang it. So the next thing that people usually ask about, right, and you know this firsthand as you're dealing with this, is families that come to this area and non-families, they just want to know if they have kids, where's the best spot for my kid? Because my kid is actually the most important thing in my world.
Right.
And I want a place where I know the school is going to treat them well.
Right. So definitely knowing about schools, knowing about the sports at those schools. I get a lot of those questions from clients too. My kid plays baseball. What school should we go to? So they just definitely want to know about that. And I always suggest asking families who live here. We have spouse pages that we all go to, getting on to the local spouse pages and asking those families that are here what their experiences are. Just because data suggests that one area is better than another doesn't necessarily mean someone couldn't have a good experience there.
Yeah, that's not the best for them.
Right.
It's just a data point.
Personal experiences I found have always been good. And then if that doesn't work, checking out niche.com or places like that, greatschools.org.
So here's the thing. In real estate, there's fair housing law. We can't tell somebody this school is the best one. But what we can say is these are the places that I find that when somebody cares about the schools and I point them in the right direction and I say, here's all the resources, they typically end up in, especially if their kids or they know they're going to stay in the house and they're going to grow from, say, kindergarten all the way through high school, right? Some of the higher rated ones, when you check these sources, are going to be the Olympia School District, the Tumwater School District. So specifically Griffin for elementary schools, but I just constantly have people move out to the area after they themselves assess all the information. On the other side, in Puyallup School District is very high rated and I hear good things about. So yeah, just do your homework. I mean, my kids are here in DuPont, so they're in the Stillicum School District, and we haven't had a single issue with their education at all.
Right.
Worthy in this video to talk about what it's like to be here. You just can. So I'm going to do the talking. Just so you guys know, from October until about, sometimes it lasts until about June. It's very overcast, right? We will have some storms in November and December, so it'll rain a lot. But it's just that most days tend to be kind of gray. During the winter, there are times where the sun comes out. It's just kind of cold because it's the winter. So the seasonal affective disorder, I have had people leave the area over it. I've had people move here and then move back out again. It's actually a real thing. So it does exist.
Okay.
You will kind of, see for yourself. But we have the most beautiful summers ever.
Yes.
So when we're talking about that other time of the year, so June, July, August, September, you have this huge window where we probably have the best weather in the country.
Right. We were told moving here, playing off the rain, that we should just plan vacations ahead of time. Going to Arizona, going to Disneyland with our military discount was a good suggestion, and just kind of knowing in those gray months that you're going to need to address that.
Yes.
And then in the summer, which is great because on base here, when the weather's so nice, they have, you can rent paddle boards, you can rent RVs, you can go get all the equipment you need to go really explore the Pacific Northwest. So
yes.
That's cool.
That is our yearly cycle.
Yes.
we know it's going to get to where you're going to start to feel impacted by it. And of course, the daylight savings time kicks in. It starts to get dark early. So you're going to get really tired of this in January. Maybe if you could last till February. Take a vacation then, if you can, somewhere else, somewhere where the sun is out. And then that will buy you some time until maybe the sun comes out here. And maybe you need a second one. But then, yeah, definitely get your time in over the summer months too, because it's going to kick in come about late September, early October. You're just going to start to feel this weather thing change.
Nice.
All right, so what I would suggest is people go somewhere warm, which means you might need to go a little far away, but let's talk about where people that do come here actually take these like weekend getaways, because I personally feel like you can get a lot of energy and a lot of juice out of just taking your family out Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and coming back and going back to work and all those things. And we have an abundance of places like that. We are so close to the coast, right here in DuPont or JBLM specifically. An hour and a half, you're on the coast. You can go north, you can go to Canada, you can drive south into Oregon. Like, we're really in the center of a lot of places to go. And we have a mountain range that is very close too,
Right.
that people can go skiing and hiking and all kinds of things.
Cannon Beach, I know, is a very popular one that people like to go to around here with a very short drive.
Cannon Beach is one of our favorites. So I can say every year we go to Cannon Beach. Some people will go to Ocean Shores. A lot of the times we'll travel. By the way, you should watch our video that we have on vacation getaways that are within 2 hours of JBLM. It's on the channel. It'll be linked somewhere on the page. Those are our vacations that we go on all the time. So Roslyn, Suncadia, you got places that are only an hour and a half away. There is a lot to do around here.
Nice. And I guess if you wanted to go further, you could always go to Seattle and jump on a cruise ship and end up in Alaska.
All right, so great place to live. Lifestyle's pretty awesome. We're not in the city though. Uber Eats works. If you want to get an Uber though, it's very expensive. These are just things that people should know.
Right.
What else have you seen since moving here that you were surprised about?
I was surprised about the shuttles to the airport, which I found very convenient. Instead of having to pay a very expensive, like you were talking about Uber, there's a lot of other services around here for military families that'll take you to the airport and do those things.
All right, so we said some negative things about the weather, but the reality is I've had so many people say, I want to retire here. Why do you think that is?
I think they just didn't know they like the outdoors as much as they do, or they haven't had the chance to really explore like you can in this area.
Maybe they went to the coast, they started salmon fishing, and they said, this is amazing. I want to live here.
Or hiking.
Or hiking, yeah.
Paddleboarding, all the fun things that, we might not get to do at other bases.
Yep, because if you're in Kansas, you're probably not salmon fishing.
You're not. I've been there, we're not.